I put out my big board across the floor, and I'm going to be making a headpiece to go with this dress. So I already cut a couple of things and I'll show you. I have a headband that I'm going to use. I chose this kind of thick one because I'm going to put a bunch of leaves on it. You can use a thinner headband sometimes. It just depends how much stability you need. And this is the crown piece for my headband. So it sits pretty much straight up on the head, but it's still rather curved because of the way your head is shaped. So then I cut some felt. This piece is approximately the same exact size, and that's going to go on one side, and then I cut another piece that's a little bit bigger, so that way I'll be able to fold the edges over a little bit and cover that rough edge there. And then after I do that, I'm going to put leaves on it so that it matches my Weirwood Tree theme. Not this thread, just the leaves. I am currently waiting for the hot glue gun to heat up. I'm using a high temp hot glue gun. That's really important because you don't want your stuff to come off when it gets to your body temperature. This is a very high temp glue gun. Like, I'm not joking, do not touch it once it heats up. So my glue gun is pretty warm now, and that means we're gonna get started on this thing. So I'm gonna begin by putting a piece of felt onto my hat thing. So once that's on, I'm gonna do the other side. And this one is extra tall so that I can fold it over the sides. That piece is extra big, like so. So next I'm going to fold the edges over on that one. Now you just want to kind of make them go around the edges. Like on this part, you're going to have to cut it a little bit so that it folds. I'll go ahead and make a few snips. Usually you don't need that many, just like I did 5. Either cut some off or you can just glue it down over onto the side. I usually like to glue it down onto there a little bit because I feel like that gives it a little bit more stability. And be careful whenever you're touching where you're putting glue. Like, I'm being very careful to touch the felt and to not go directly on the glue until it's had a second to cool off a little bit. Start decorating the top, or we can go ahead and cover the headband. So if you don't need to cover it, then I mean, that's easy, right? You're just gonna attach it. But I'm gonna cover the headband in red felt. So what I'm gonna do is just attach that felt now. And my felt is not big enough to go all the way across it. So I have to make the decision, do I want one seam in the felt on one side, or do I want equal seams on both sides? And I'm really into symmetry, so I'm gonna pick equal seams on both sides, but it's totally up to you if you're making your own. what I'm gonna do is, honestly, you could cut this at the sides here and that would be okay. I'm gonna fold it over so I get like a really rounded edge on my felt. On the end, I'll just cut that off. So if you're making a headband, it's up to you on how clean you want the inside to look and like what exactly you want to do with it and so on. The main thing is that it functions, right? That it'll sit on your head and it'll work like a headband. So I'm just kind of looking at what I'm working with here. Yeah, my camera's saying low battery, so I think I'm actually gonna take a break before I finish, and while I take a break I'll just kind of go over this and make sure everything looks really smooth, and then start to think about how I'm gonna place my leaves. Okay, so I went ahead and covered the back side of this with leaves. So this is an example of how you could be done decorating it now, but I decided I want the back to be decorated too. So I mean, if this is your front, you know, I just covered it with leaves and I made sure to place them so that they were covering the whole surface, and I just glued like along the vein on the back of each one so that it would stay really well. So I'm going to do the front now, and I decided to put some branches on the front. I actually want to have a couple of leaves behind the branches, so I'm going to put those down first. And I mean, this is all like just how I artistically decided I thought this would look nice, so you know, if you're making one, it's whatever you think looks nice on yours. Probably want to hold that there for a little bit, make sure the glue gets a really nice hold, because you don't want this coming off later. That would be really sad. And then I have plenty more leaves, so there's no need to be stingy for me with my leaves. Well, that's a reject. I'm just gonna start putting them on there. Attach it to the headband. So the idea, right, is that you want it to go kind of like this onto the headband. It's a challenge, definitely a challenge. It's not going to sit directly on there because obviously, you know, the headband is more curved than that, so to finagle it. If you didn't decorate the back side, it's actually a lot easier. Alright, and we're back. So it's attached to the headband. You can see it's angled back because of the way it sits on my head. I mean, you can adjust a pattern so that it's not angled as far back if you want. But this one, so I was having trouble getting the glue gun to really work out, so I actually sewed it to the headband right there. And then at this point you just want to kind of see if you want to add anything to it, make sure it looks really good. A crown for a tree queen. you guys want to see more of my work, make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications, as well as follow me on social media. And I also put out my videos early, and I put out additional exclusive content and tutorials on Patreon. So if that's something you're interested in, I'd love to see you there too. And I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.